Hey bag ladies and bag dudes, I'm Sara Lawson from Sew Sweetness. Thanks so much for joining me for Ask Sara, my weekly Q&A chat. Hey everyone, thanks so much for spending your Tuesday evening with me. I see Diane checking in over on YouTube. Diane from Kentucky. Thanks so much, Diane, for joining me. And Violet's putting some other hellos up on the screen too, right, Violet? All right, Montana Wendy's there. Hey, Montana Wendy. Thanks so much for joining me, everyone. I'm going to give everyone just a few seconds to jump in on the chat before we get going with the tutorial video for tonight. I just wanted to show you some machine quilting I was doing right before the chat for some videos we're shooting tomorrow. So we're going to do a video tomorrow for the filigree double zip pouches, and I don't normally quilt a bag, but for this particular one I like to. And I'm just using straight line quilting on a 45-degree angle. And when quilting pieces for a bag, maybe you're a quilter, so maybe you already know this, but I always recommend cutting the fabric and the interfacing bigger than your pattern pieces, so roughly an inch bigger on all sides. So here's the pattern piece that I used for this project. As you can see, it's bigger than the fabric and the interfacing, and that's because just like when you're machine quilting a quilt, the quilting often makes the fabric and the interfacing or batting shrink down, and so I always like to do this for bag making. And I used my walking foot on this, and I drew just lines with my Clover Choco on a 45-degree angle, and I quilted the side panel of the bag as well, and I'm really liking how this is turning out. I probably should quilt bag pieces more often, but anyway, just something that we're working on during our work day tomorrow. So Danny's going to be jumping on later after the tutorial video. We had a request from Yvonne in the Facebook group, and she wanted to see Danny's first quilt because he mentioned a couple weeks ago that he did actually make a quilt himself. So we're going to be showing that after the tutorial video. If you have any questions for me, either sewing related, bag related, sewing tool related, please ask your questions in the comments, and I'll be answering some questions live after the video. Today's video is demos on how to install a traditional magnetic snap and also an invisible magnetic snap. So enjoy the video. It's about 15 minutes long, and Danny and I will see you here after the video. Hey bag ladies and bag dudes, today I'm going to be talking about magnetic snaps. So there's two different types that I'm going to be showing you today. The first is a traditional magnetic snap, and I've got my Rockstar bag over here, and if I open up the flap, I can show you that this is what the traditional magnetic snap looks like. And then I've also got my Hyacinth bag over here, and in the flap and in the body of the bag there's an invisible magnetic snap. So you can't see it, but I'm going to show you how the flap closes, and I'll be quiet for just a second so that you can hear the snap closing. So as you can see, the flap I didn't place it against the body of the bag. As the flap got close to the magnet in the body, the magnetic pull took over, and then it just closed the flap. So both of these are great options. I'm going to show you how to install both of them, and you can use it for any of the bags that you're making. Okay, first we're going to talk about the traditional magnetic snap. So the snap usually comes in two parts. The male, which has like the little nub that stands out, and then the female, which has the indentation or the little hole in the middle. So generally I like to put the male half of the magnetic snap inside the flap portion just because it's a thinner piece, and I'm going to hold them sideways just so you can see the male. This one right here is a little bit thinner than the female. So I've cut two pieces of fabric here. I've cut my flap piece, and I've also cut a rectangle which will be the body of the bag. So this will be the body of the bag right here. I've went ahead and attached the body of the bag to foam interfacing, and the flap is attached to shape flex interfacing, so the flap is the thinner piece. Okay, so we're going to start off by attaching the female half of the magnetic snap to the body of the bag. So let me move these out of the way. Okay, so here's the female half of the magnetic snap, and oftentimes they come with a washer, and the washer just has two slits where the prongs will go, and it's just a thin piece of metal, and usually I like to put this on the wrong side of the fabric. So the snaps don't always come with a washer, so I'll show you how to install with the washer and how to install without. Okay, so generally you'll want to use the measurements in whatever pattern you're working on for placement of the magnetic snap. For this demonstration, I'm just going to take my ruler and measure 2 inches down from the top edge and make sure that that's centered. And I'm just going to make a little mark. And that's where that female half of the magnetic snap will be installed. Okay, so first off, if your snap did not come with a washer, I'm just going to go ahead and center the middle of the snap over the marking that I made, and I'm going to draw, move my fingers out of the way, I'm going to draw to the inside of the first prong and to the outside of the second. So that's for marking the prongs if you don't have the washer. I do have the washer, and the washer's handy because I can go ahead and line up that center dot with the marking that I made and then mark where both the slits will be. Okay, so since I have this foam interfacing and it's quite substantial, I'm not going to back that up with any additional interfacing. However, you can if you'd like. I'll show you how to do that when I attach the second half of the magnetic snap to the flap. So I'm going to take my seam ripper, and I'm just going to use the seam ripper to cut holes through the fabric where the 2 slits are. So I'm just going to insert the seam ripper at the top of the marking and just sort of drag it, and it's going to go through both layers of fabric. And you always want to start off with a smaller slit because you can always make a smaller slit bigger, but if you accidentally make it too big, you're sort of stuck with that large hole. And I usually like to reinforce the slits that I make through the fabric with a seam sealant. So I have Fray Check right here. Fray Block is another brand, and you just need a little dab, and this liquid just prevents the fabric from fraying. Obviously, if you're using a fabric that does not fray, like leather or cork, no need to use any seam sealant on that. Okay, so I'm going to take that snap and I'm going to slide it through the right side of the fabric. Okay, and then I'm going to stick the washer on the back. So I'm going to open the prongs outward. You can use snap pliers. I like to lean mine up against a table and just kind of push the prongs so that it opens outward. So I'm just going to go ahead and lean that, let me move my table over a little bit. Lean that against the edge. So I just opened the first prong, and I'm going to lean the second edge to open the second. Okay, let me put that back in place. Okay, so this is what it looks like from the front, and this is what it looks like from the back. So that female half of the magnetic snap is installed in the body of the bag. So let me put that to the side for now and pull out the flap. So again, I mentioned the flap only has the thin shape flex interfacing. Because it's a thinner piece of fabric with the interfacing, I like to reinforce it with something else. You can use Peltex interfacing, Decoville. You can even use plastic cross-stitch template. So it's up to you what you want to do. I often, in a flap, like to have the magnetic snap installed an inch up from the bottom edge of the flap and centered. So I'm going to go ahead and mark the placement for that right now. Okay, and again, I'm going to use the washer to mark where the prongs will be, and I'll also do that in the interfacing and the plastic cross-stitch template. You don't have to use both, one or the other is fine, but I'll mark both just so you can see how either one will be installed. And this one's a little bit more difficult to measure, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut through the plastic. Okay, so again, I'm going to use that seam ripper to get a hole started. And I'll follow that up with some of that seam sealant. Okay, so again, the reason we're using either the cross-stitch template plastic or the extra interfacing, either Peltex or Decoville, even fusible fleece will be fine, is so the magnetic snap does not pull out of your fabric. So this is a thin layer, it's just fabric and shape flex, and we just need to give it a little bit of extra reinforcement. Okay, and I didn't make my slits big enough, so I'm just going to go ahead and backtrack and make them a little bit larger. Okay, and and then I'm going to flip to the wrong side of the fabric, and if you're going to be using the plastic cross-stitch template, it'll just go on like that, and you might need to cut a bit back to make sure that you're clear of the seam allowance when you're sewing the flat pieces right sides together. I'm going to put that Decoville on, and I didn't make my slits big enough, so let's make this one a little bit bigger. And I'm going to trim this down a little bit so it keeps out of the seam allowance. Okay, again, I'm going to lean this against my table so I can open the prongs outward. Okay, and this is what it looks like from the right side of the fabric, and that's what it looks like from the wrong side of the fabric, and then you'll just assemble the bag. Again, the flap will be sewn right sides together with another flat piece, and the front of the bag will just be assembled per the pattern instructions. So that's the traditional magnetic snap. Okay, so before I show you how to install the invisible magnetic snap, I wanted to show you my bag again. And again, this is the Hyacinth bag, and there's a magnetic snap here in the flap, and there's also one in the body of the bag. So the actual orientation of the snap in the flap is that it's on this side of the foam interfacing, and same thing on the body of the bag, it's on the underside. So the side opposite where this exterior fabric is. And the reason that I like orienting the snaps that way is because these snaps are quite strong, and I'd rather them go through the extra interfacing before reaching the other snap so that it doesn't rip through the fabric. I've never had that happen before, but I just like orienting the snaps on the other side of the interfacing, and it's still a very tight close. Okay, now let's talk about the invisible magnetic snap. So the invisible magnetic snap has two pieces, and each metal snap is enclosed in a piece of clear plastic vinyl. So I went ahead and marked on my magnetic snaps A and B, and you can mark anything. You can mark a little smiley face, whatever you want. Basically, I'm marking the side of the snap that is going to close tight against each other, so that would be this, as opposed to repelling, which this side does. So I just like to mark it just so while I'm sewing the snaps in, I don't get confused and orient one of them the wrong way, because if you do that, then when your bag is finished, your flap won't close against your bag. It'll just sort of slightly repel. Okay, so I'm just going to deal with one piece at a time. So here's my flap piece, and I've already cut the flap fabric out, and I've also cut the flap interfacing out. So in this example, this fabric is the part that will be facing outward when the bag is finished and the bag is closed. So this is basically the exterior portion of the flap. So I'm going to go ahead and make a mark for the placement of the snap. I'm just going to choose 1.5 inches up from the bottom edge and centered. And I'm going to make a mark right where I want to install that magnetic snap. So again, because I marked this side, this is the side that has the magnet in it, and for this particular application, I'm going to orient the magnet face down, because like I said, this is going to be the outside of the flap, and this part has to close against the bag, which would be theoretically under here. So I'm just going to center that right on the marking that I made, and I'm going to stitch this around the outside of the clear vinyl about 1/8 of an inch away from the edge, and you can also go ahead and sew that with a second line of stitching, slightly more than 1/8 of an inch, so you have 2 lines of stitching. It's up to you. Okay, so because the magnet is face down against the bed of my sewing machine, which is also metal, you might want to place something underneath the magnet so that it doesn't pull at the bed of the sewing machine. You can use a piece of cardboard. I just have a piece of paper folded up. The thing that you need to remember about this is that you don't want to sew through that paper, so just keep it off to the side slightly so that it's not getting in the way of your sewing machine needle. Okay, so the magnet is sewn in place, and like I mentioned, if you wish, you can sew a second line of stitching slightly greater than 1/8 of an inch. Okay, so that snap is sewn into place, and now I'm going to add the fabric that will be on the exterior side of the snap, and you'll just attach that using manufacturer instructions, and mine is a sew-in foam, so I would just go ahead and attach the fabric to the foam using 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, and then that piece will be ready. Okay. So I just showed you how to attach the first part of the magnetic snap to the flap, and this is the body of the bag. So again, I've cut my fabric out and the interfacing, and I've got that last portion of the magnetic snap. So again, theoretically, that flat portion that I just completed, I would like that to close against the body of the bag. So I'm going to orient that side of the magnetic snap that I marked underneath the foam. And I'm going to sew that in place so that once the flap is finished and the exterior is finished, it'll snap into place correctly. So this is the wrong side of the foam. So this is not where the fabric will go. So I'm just going to mark that as a reminder, as a visual reminder. And again, I'm going to center with my ruler, and I'm going to mark up, let's say, 1 3/4 inches from the bottom edge. So that will be where I'll install the snap. So again, this is the magnetic portion because that's the portion that I marked with the B. So I'm going to flip it down like this. And again, I'm going to sew this clear vinyl to the foam using 1/8 of an inch. And again, I suggest using a piece of cardboard or paper folded in half underneath the snap so that it doesn't stick to the bed of your machine. Okay, so because I marked this foam that this is the wrong side, I'm going to go ahead and attach the exterior fabric to the right side of the foam. And again, mine is a sew-in interfacing, so I'm going to use 1/8 of an inch to secure the fabric to the foam along the outer edge. Okay, so here's my flap piece. This is the exterior of the flap, and this is the body of the bag. And I've gone ahead and installed the magnetic snap so that the magnet side is facing up. And for this piece, the magnet is facing down toward the body of the bag. So as I bring the snap close, it grips really tightly on that second snap. And then I'll go ahead and assemble the flap with the lining portion, sewn right sides together, and assemble the body of the bag. But this is just the general instruction for installing an invisible magnetic snap. And you can substitute this for a traditional magnetic snap if you prefer. The nice thing is that you can't see the snap in the finished bag, and it's a nice tight close. I like this because once you get the flap close to the body of the bag, it just sort of grabs it and pulls it in. So that's how you install an invisible magnetic snap. I hope you enjoyed that demonstration on how to install the traditional magnetic snap and the invisible magnetic snap. You can use those steps to install either of those in any of the bags that you're making. Hey everyone, hope you enjoyed that tutorial video on the magnetic snaps, and my husband Danny is joining me. If you have a question, sewing related, bag related, or tool related, let me know in the comments, and we're going to be getting to some questions live in a second. So Yvonne asked in the Facebook group, and Danny wanted to show this quilt that he made.
It's half Star Wars, half Star Trek. It's got a real nice
and
design.
Danny's a big fan of Minky, so he picked a Minky fabric for the back, and he just sewed it right sides together. And
well, she actually sewed it, but it was my idea for the Minky.
Okay. But you sewed all the strips together, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I cut them too.
Sarah had a question on Facebook. I'd like to know how much fabric should you purchase when you see something you like but don't have a project in mind. That's a great question. So just for visual sake, this bag and this little pouch could be made from about 1 yard of exterior fabric. So when I'm shopping and I think I might use the fabric for a bag, I'll get 1 yard of fabric. If it's a woven fabric, maybe I'll make into a dress. I'll buy 3 yards, and for a knit, I usually buy 1.5 to 2 yards. But for bags, You can't go wrong with a yard, and especially if you're making a lot of little projects, you can make several of those from a yard of fabric. Kathy wanted to know, did you have problems adjusting the tension on your TL2010Q when you first purchased it? Do you find you have to adjust the tension with thickness of fabric you happen to be working with? So I find that with my Juki 2010, I basically set the tension once and I leave it there. So I don't have to, I find personally that I don't have to be adjusting it depending on the project. I have mine set right now on the dial for the tension on the front of the machine is set between 1 and 2, but like really close to 2. So that's just how I have it set. And I'm using 40 weight thread if that information helps at all.
Didn't send it.
Didn't send it? Okay. Oh, we saw this picture posted on Facebook right before we went live with the chat. Sandy used the small Sidewinder pouch from the mini Kinz to hold essential oil bottles. I think that was in response to somebody asking on Facebook what project could she make for roller balls. I think that was the question. So I love this picture, and I use essential oils myself, and I love seeing them all organized in that pouch. That looks really cool. Lori wanted to know, on your retreats, is the material for bags, etc., cut out and ready to sew before you get there? I haven't gone to one and would hesitate to go if I had to cut everything out there. It'd take up the whole weekend at least. So my teaching style is that I ask for students, even if it's not the retreat, I teach for guilds also. I ask for students to prep their fabric and interfacing before coming to class. So what that means is cutting out all of the fabric and interfacing and also attaching the fabric to the interfacing like I've done with this piece. The reason I have people do that before coming to class is that normally it takes me, depending on the project, 2 to 3 hours to cut everything, infuse everything, and attach it to the interfacing. And I feel like it's almost a waste of class time to, for me to be watching everyone cut out fabric for 3 hours. I'd rather just get into teaching. So that's my style of teaching no matter where I'm teaching. There's usually 1 or 2 people that don't have everything prepped, and that's completely fine because my teaching style is basically a one-on-one. So I have step outs prepared, which is a step out is just the fabrics for that particular step. So I've sewn everything for that particular step. And so I just keep a close eye on where everybody's at in the project, which is easier to do for smaller groups, but I've taught up to 25 students at one time. And then I just keep an eye on where everyone's at. And when I see someone is ready to move on to the next step, I show them the appropriate step out. So that means everyone is on a different step, and I don't need to keep everyone on the same step. So it works for me, and it also works for the students because they don't feel frazzled if they are behind other people. And if they like to work ahead, then they're not bored and on their cell phones because I'm ready to explain the next step to them whenever they're ready. All right, let's get one more question, and then we'll get to your pick of the week. And I wanted to tell a funny story about dinner, if that's okay.
Yeah.
All right. Carol wanted to know, how can I keep in place the soft and stable interfacing if I don't want to quilt? I make a bag, and which glue do I use? So soft and stable is a foam interfacing that's a sew-in, and that's the one I most often use. And I just machine baste it to fabric using 1/8 of an inch seam, kind of like I showed in that magnetic snap tutorial when I attached the fabric to the interfacing after I sewed in those invisible magnetic snaps. So there's also foam interfacings that are fusible if that's your preference. Pellon makes flex foam, which is fusible, and Bosel makes Interform, which is also fusible. Everyone seems to have a different preference in regards to foam interfacing. I just prefer the sew-in, but if you like the fusible better, those options are out there. So Danny, last week, he had an idea. I'll just let you explain it if you want.
Well, I am an avid Sew Sweetness fans private group page viewer, and I really love looking at your guys' projects. I mean, there's some amazing ideas you guys have for fabric choices, and even sometimes hacks when you may change a pattern a little bit with a zipper or a pocket here, and it looks really amazing. So we'd like to give recognition to some people. Also, even a new sewist who is like, oh, it's my first bag I made, which this week it was a new sewist first time bag ever, and I was really like, wow. First thing when I saw this picture, I was like, this is amazing. It was a really good job. And that person is Stephanie Curtis.
Here we go.
She made the Easy Sew Hobo Bag. right?
Easy leather hobo bag.
There
It's
you
a
go.
free video on YouTube, free pattern. And Stephanie used vinyl fabric and a quilting cotton for the lining. And yeah, it looks amazing.
Yeah, and I really appreciate her picture taking. She used great lighting, great how she propped it up. The bag looked amazing. Really good job, Stephanie.
And this was posted in the Facebook.
Kudos to you.
Yeah, this was posted in the Facebook group. So we love seeing Danny and I both look at all the pictures coming in the Facebook group. If you're not already a member, the link is in the description. And I hope you'll join the group. And it's really fun seeing the pictures as well as people ask questions. If they have a question about a pattern or a question about something else bag related or interfacing related. So
I'd like to get everyone a tip too as well is when you're gonna take a picture of your bag or your finished item, whatever you want to show. You don't want to have like a window that it's in behind the item. So say if you have a bag, here's the bag in front of me, and then like over my shoulder, like where these the thread is, you don't want to have like a window there because the light source will actually darken your image and it takes away from it. So if you're gonna take a picture of something, have the light source facing the item, and you will be with the light source behind the item. So you'll have a nice bright image of the bag, and it's not competing with the light source, which will take away from the image. And that's an easy fix for a lot of people's pictures I've seen. They look dark. It's only because there's a light image in the picture that's stealing the brightness away from it.
and he's not criticizing any pictures.
No, I'm just trying to help everyone out because it's an easy
Yeah.
fix. Recently, I've been taking a lot of the pictures for Sarah's items, presentations, and stuff like that. So it's something I've learned, and I'd love to share knowledge all the time with people, or if it can help anyone. If you have any questions about stuff, I'm more than willing to help out with anyone answering stuff, technical or photography, video, whatever.
Yeah, and I'm not the best photographer either, but taking a picture outside with the natural light, especially if it's overcast, is usually...
Yeah, there's challenging
Yeah.
features. When we use DSLR cameras, there's a lot of feature settings such as ISO. You also want to set your aperture. There's a lot of adjustments to be made, and you by making those adjustments can make a picture look great or it can look poor, and a little bit can go a long way for knowledge.
So we had a rather interesting dinner tonight. I made burritos with black beans for Danny and myself, and my son in particular I knew he would not eat that, so I made him leftover pizza and broccoli, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, but there were tears over dinner because he had to eat the cheese pizza.
The pizza was older, and it was like a leftover pizza.
Yeah, but
I get his pain. My son is very finicky when he's eating dinner. It's in food in general. His favorite food is chicken, then broccoli, and some peas. And which is a great diet, don't get me wrong, but it's difficult when we can't have that every single night. So I tell him, when we have something new, or I make him try the new food first, and that's usually a battle, but he'll do it. And then he'll get like a smaller portion of something else. Today, he was having a problem eating the dinner, and I'm like, William, you're not going to leave the table until the food's gone. Just hold your nose, tough it out, and just eat it. You're not always going to eat everything you love, That's what I try telling him. But he's like, to me, it felt like we were torturing him to make him eat food that was not bad food. It wasn't even like, something crazy. It was just cheese pizza.
Pizza, yeah.
Yeah, so, but we made a deal, and I felt bad for the kids, so I said, if you want to make a peanut butter sandwich, he ate his broccoli, he had a peanut butter sandwich instead of the pizza.
But we were both picky when we were kids,
Oh,
so
yeah, definitely.
we understand how it feels, but then again, he's got to eat something, and...
Right. That's way, because I think my biggest problem as a kid being picky was I did not try enough foods, or I would come with a preconceived notion, hey, I don't like this, I'm not going to try it again. So sometimes I've read somewhere it takes 14 times to really try something to see if you like or dislike it. So I'm pushing them 14 times to try stuff that they may not like or they do like. But our daughter, she's good about trying stuff, and if she doesn't like it, I take it, yeah, go ahead. You try a bite, you don't like it, I trust you on that. So we're pretty flexible.
All right, want to get to some more questions?
Yeah, well, one said you two are matching, and it's funny because I mentioned that right before we were going on. I noticed that the color of our shirts are very similar. By the way, I did get dressed first with this shirt on. And she wanted to match me, I think.
I just love this shirt. Every time this shirt is clean, I just want to wear it, so...
Yeah, when she got this shirt, let me take this comment off. Or actually, just put your arms up for a second.
It's not that bad.
You see these right here? These
Oh,
patches?
look at all the threads
over here. I
over
said, Sarah,
here.
did you have a hole in your shirt, or did you get a cut? Because it looks like you put Band-Aids.
No, it's the style.
Oh, yeah, your new shirt.
Look at all the threads on there.
Oh, I thought it was a hole or something.
No, it was thread.
Okay, let's see. Let's go to the comments. People love Minky. I love Minky as well. That is the best, absolute best quilt back.
Minky on quilts is the best. We have a few with Minky on the back. Okay, Lois wants to know, are the magnetic snaps all one size or do you use the same size on all bags? That's a really good question. So my favorite size and what I used in the video for the traditional magnetic snap, that was a 1/2 inch. I've also seen them in stores at 3/4 of an inch, which obviously is bigger. And also the snap that I used in the tutorial video, the traditional magnetic snap, is a thin snap. So there's a difference. So the reason that it looked flat in the video, if it looked flat to you, it's a thin magnetic snap, and there's some that are not labeled as thin, they're just regular. And the metal, I don't have one to grab quickly, but the metal is just thicker and stands out a little bit more. Either one's fine. I just, personal preference, I like the 1/2 inch. Karen wants to know, does your Rivet press do grommets too, or do you have a separate recommendation? Yes, my Rivet press, I have dies for grommets, and unfortunately each application and each size is a different die, but I believe I showed it in my Rivet press video, so if you're interested, you can find that on YouTube or on my website, and I talk about the different dies and what size the dies are, and like I have dies for making holes, and I talk about what size holes each die makes, so check out that video if you're interested in that. Molly wants to know, where does one get the invisible magnetic snaps? I found regular at Joann. So there's a link in the description to a place where you can find both traditional magnetic snaps and invisible, and that's Emmeline Bags. It's a hardware seller in Canada, but I very highly recommend. I just bought, I buy hardware in bulk from her. She also sells it individual pieces, and the shipping comes fast and it's reasonable even if you're in the US, being that Emmeline Bags is in Canada. Jolyn wants to know, what bag do you suggest for a beginner? Would like to make one with a zipper. So if you'd like to make one with a zipper, I recommend my Baker Street bag, which, I don't know, can you grab that pink bag over there? Yeah, thanks. So this is the Baker Street bag. It's got a recessed zipper on the inside, and it's a free video on my website or on YouTube, free pattern and video. So if you're interested in that, we've been seeing a lot of Baker Street bags pop up in the Facebook group, right, Danny?
Yep. Baker Streets are I think it's the most popular bag of our free tutorials as well. Mm-hmm. The Hobo bag's a great pattern as well, but I think the Baker Streets got a couple extra features that seem, people want to, jump in, check out the zipper.
Yeah, it's like a good medium-sized bag, I think.
Yep, it's a good size.
Yep. Sandra wants to know...
Oh, I pressed that too hard.
Ooh, do you remember what the question was?
Yeah, I'll go back to it.
You'll put it back?
Yeah.
Okay. Christine wants to know, is your vinyl too heavy for the bottom and straps on the airplane bag? It's actually not. Actually, the glitter vinyl and the faux leather that I saw on my website is actually thinner than the cork fabric. Not that the cork fabric is all that thick, but it's pretty thin. Sandra wanted to know, Sarah, I have the same machine that you have, and I was wondering, where did you get the Teflon foot that you put on yours? So my Teflon foot looks like this. So the Teflon is just the white portion, and it helps glide over fabrics that your regular foot will stick to, like leather or cork fabric. Well, not all the time cork fabric, but anyway, I just bought this on eBay. I think it was about $10 plus a couple dollars shipping, and I just entered the make and model of my sewing machine and Teflon foot, and it gave me a bunch of options. Otherwise, if you have a trusted sewing machine dealer near you, I'm sure you can find this foot at your local dealer. Okay, what are some good websites to buy high quality thread? So my favorite, if you don't have a local shop that sells thread near you or that you can get to easily, my two favorite places online to shop for thread, I use Aurifil thread, in particular 40 weight for bag making, but Red Rock Threads has just about every thread that you could imagine. Also, Fat Quarter Shop carries a lot of Aurifil as well if you're looking for Aurifil in particular. Will you put a list of the products you use in your bag making so that we can get them, especially the interfacing and foam? I think that's a great idea for a future video, don't you think? Like tools and notions that I use a lot, just showing them. We try to do during Social Sunday to talk about different notions that I like and show them in the video, but maybe we can have a
full show on...
Yeah, just everything in one place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that would be a good idea. Thank you for the suggestion. That's a good idea.
Yep. You know, I sort of got a little giggle on this one. I don't know why, but...
Hi, Sarah and Danny. I am new and will be making your hobo bag as my first project. Would you please make a video addendum using a zipper closure instead of a magnetic snap? Yeah,
I was going to tell you why I giggled, because we're so... we have a path we're following of like what's the next tutorial here, what are we doing here, and going backwards to do like a hack per se of an older one. To me, is like it's gonna be a little bit later on, but for an adjustment being made or something like that. I'm sure if you join the group, I bet you would find a person that already made the hack with the zipper on the hobo, which I think I did see in the pattern group.
Yeah, but she's looking for instructions on how to do it.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
No, we've had this requested a lot, and not to contradict what you just said, but I think it's a good idea. So,
a new version hobo bag.
Yeah, so maybe a different,
like a little different design,
a different looking bag. Same idea though, but with the side panel.
When I think of hobo, I think of like someone homeless. So what can we think of something better than homeless? How about the penthouse? Going from the bottom to the top.
All right, but I'll keep that on my list to come up with a similar design, but with the zipper closure, because I think I already have it in my head. So thanks for the idea. Debbie said, "Can you talk about the weight of thread?" Yeah, sure. I'm gonna pull some thread out from here, and I got another one. I'm gonna pull out from back here. Anything you want to talk about while I'm doing this, Danny?
Oh, I'm pretty sure just like the gauge of different electrics wire, the smaller the number, the thicker the thread. So I think it's the same thing.
That's correct. Okay, so I've got 3 spools that I pulled out from here. These are all Aurifil, but different manufacturers also have different weights of thread. So these are in order of thickness. So the Aurifil on the orange spool is 50 weight. That's the thinnest that I have for sewing machine use. They make thinner for hand sewing. 40 weight is on the green spool. That's sort of in the middle. That's what I use for bag making. And this is the 12 weight. It comes on the red spool, and that's the thickest one. So 12 weight would be good for top stitching straps or a bag. When I have the 12 weight in the top of my machine, in the bobbin I have the 40 weight, just because it doesn't work well having 12 weight in the top and the bobbin, just because it's thicker. But again, these are the different weights. Like Danny said, the smaller the number, the thicker the thread. So the green spool, the 40 weight, is what I use most often for bag making. How was Toastmasters? We're actually going to Toastmasters on Thursday night at 7:30. So we're excited about. Well, I'm excited about that. Danny's sort of skeptical,
because I'm self-learned with all the video stuff. I'm like, Sarah, if you really want to get, there's any questions or tidbits of great knowledge, YouTube has a plethora of knowledge of everything you possibly think of, and there's a ton of Toastmaster stuff on there. Maybe she wants more on a personal level. Maybe they can analyze what she's doing and stuff.
I do want it on a personal level because I want the chance to. I don't know exactly how it works since we haven't gone to a meeting yet, but I assume that I would get a chance eventually to do some speaking in front of the group, and I would like specific feedback about what I can do better, and I just don't think I could get that from a YouTube video. So
I would do the critique.
Nancy wants to know, did you shop for an embroidery machine? All right, you want to
Yeah, we went to Singer Factory Direct, I believe. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, in Chicago on Irving Park Road, there's a Singer Factory outlet. They sell other machines besides Singer. And
yeah, so we were in the store, and then we, a gentleman came up to us and said, there's some machines over here. Here's a Singer machine. And the price tag said $7.99. I'm like, wow, that's really inexpensive. And we're looking around. He said our expert is helping a customer look around, and she'll come talk to you guys. So we looked around. They actually had the Juki industrial machines, which looked pretty cool to me. They had Sergers, and they also had, I think, 2 different sewing Jukis. But anyway, so the lady came up to us, said, hey, I heard you're looking for an embroidery machine. We have this really nice Viking. I wouldn't suggest a Singer so much. It's good entry level, but if you want to go a little better, the Viking is a great quality one. She asked what size hoop we're looking for. Sarah said a large hoop. I think it was 8 by 14 inches. And she said, we got this nice one here. I think the price was $19.99. And I'm like, we don't want to buy like a starter machine and end up buying another machine later on because, I wish we got that machine instead. So I said, if you were going to buy a machine yourself, what would be your next machine you buy? Because she said she owned a few of them. And she actually had, it's called a 6-needle brother sewing machine. And that one, she said, was about $8,000. And, but you can do baseball caps, you can do shirts, you can do jackets. If you do arms of jackets or pant legs, you don't have to take the seams apart to do the embroidery on them. It's a really nice machine. It's most common for small businesses. And she said she owned this machine, and she's owned another embroidery machine here. I think she even said she had both Juki industrial machines at her house as well. So I don't know if she sells machines or what, or she just likes to collect
I think
awesome
she
products.
I think
who
she
doesn't?
likes nice
You know,
machines.
that's an expensive hobby, collecting machines like that. Holy smokes!
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm not sold on $7,000 or $8,000.
Yeah, well, we were looking at the Bernina, and I don't know if they were like $4,000 or $3,000 or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah, I think we just need to see more machines because they only had a few.
The benefits, you know, it's not just
Embroidery
cost.
machines
We want something. I know Baby Lock, the Dream version 2 or something, a bunch of people said it was a really good machine. We got to look into that and, you know, see the cost first. How much we're going to use it. What are we going to use it for? Because it's nice to have all these other features, but if you never use them, do you need it? So that's what it's going to come down to us. What are we going to use it for and how often are we going to use it? I love to make shirts, you know, So Sweetness branded, maybe some funny quotes, some bag ladies, bag dude shirts. By the way, if you're a bag lady or bag dude, let's see it in those comments. We almost forgot that. And, you know, I love, you know, I go back, I look at the videos, I check for quality, what we could do and change and stuff. And when I see all the people, I get excited about it. And it seems like you guys get excited too. And I love seeing it. And it's just a great thing. So.
All right.
Do you have any other tidbits?
No. Any more questions?
How about what happened to our daughter at school today?
Our daughter, we got a call at after 1:00 that she was injured on the playground. So she was running around and someone, I don't know if it was the monkey bars, but someone's climbing on something and they fell on her and she got she had like on the slide.
Yes,
okay.
The slide. No, next to the slide there's like this pad and like they jumped off of there.
Oh, okay. So she's got like a scrape on her head and she had an ice pack. She's okay, but just one of those, you know, it's an accident.
Yeah.
Nobody.
But the problem I had with it was they called my wife's phone, left a message. I'm the secondary contact on there to call my phone. If something like that were to happen, I would appreciate a call if it's just a voicemail left for hers. I think they should have called me. And Sarah's like, you know, take it easy. But when we went there, I said, you know, shouldn't you guys called me on my phone as well? And that instant, the lady stopped looking at me, and then she only addressed Sara. And she's like, this is what happened. And she was only looking at Sara, and I felt...
Yeah, but the way you come in there, like...
Well, it's my daughter. She was injured, and I was worried about her. You know, I'm very protective of mine. Sorry about the questions popping up. There's a lot of bag ladies, so it's scrolling through the feed.
Okay.
So once that calms down, I can pop a question in there because it keeps.
She was just looking for a friendly face because you were just like.
Well, she had she's like she got a cut in her head and it's a bruise. I'm thinking, oh my god, what happened? You know, let me see my daughter.
Sorry if we're.
I see a lot of comments on the embroidery machines. A lot of people have different ones. What they're saying, what they like about them. And stuff.
I just want to let you guys know every time someone makes a suggestion about an embroidery machine, I have a list going. So like if more than one person suggests the same machine, like I have little tick marks that I'm making. So we'll get there. It's
mostly comments so far. I mean, like a ton of comments.
Okay, well that's good.
Let me go ahead and say. Put some nice comments up, people, because they're still flooding in. Really appreciate the...
Thanks, everyone. We appreciate it. Yep. All right, so I'm thinking about, for next Tuesday, a project, like a small accessory project, but with some hand sewing, like English paper piecing, because I love English paper piecing. So, yeah, I'm going to... Just a few, not a lot. But
if you have questions, real fast, sorry to cut in, Sarah.
Yeah. No,
put your questions back in because there's a lot. I mean, we have a lot of pages of comments, and I'm going through them. But sometimes people say, you know, you guys didn't address my question. We really, you know, we don't want to leave anyone left behind. So if you have your question, feel free to post it a second time. We will get to it. But yeah, Sarah, continue.
Oh yeah, I was just thinking of what our project for next Tuesday would be, and yes, okay. Katie says, is it okay to use 50 weight Aurifil on bags or should I go get 40 weight? So I have certain colors behind Danny's head. As you can see, there's orange spools and green spools. So
I feel like I was used there just now.
No, so say if I need to use this gray and this is the only color that matches my fabric that I want to use and I have it on 50 weight only, I'll use it for a bag. It's not my first choice, but I've never had a bag rip open because of the thread that I used. So either 50 weight or 40 weight. Christina says, can you shape flex in between the foam? So do you mean in between the fabric and the foam? You sure can. If you want to attach shape flex to the fabric first and then attach it to the foam, you could sure do that. Buster Bunny, still hoping for acrylic templates of your patterns. Yeah, I had that in my mind for the mini Kinz, and just life and different projects got in the way, but we're still looking into acrylic templates for the patterns, and acrylic templates are, so this ruler is made out of acrylic, but it's just cut in the shape of the pattern pieces for quick cutting, especially if you're making the same project a lot of times for craft fairs or to sell in your Etsy shop or online. Mac wants to know, what is the bag behind your head dark fabric? My head?
Purple one?
Like
This-
The circle?
These right here?
No.
Well, you can just say what they are real fast
Okay.
instead of asking.
So this is one of the mini Kinz. It's the trifle tumbler. It's got the zipper on top. It comes in these 3 sizes. Oops. This is the cotton candy pouch. This is size medium, but it comes in 3 sizes as well. I hope that's what you're talking about.
I don't see another one. If it's not, I'm sure they'll say it again.
Okay. Lydia says, how often do you oil your Juki? So I used to oil it after every single day of sewing. When I took it to be serviced 2 years ago almost, he said I didn't need to oil it quite so much. He said the serger needs to be oiled just about every single time because it has more moving parts. The sewing machine, not as much. So I oil it maybe 3 times a week, 2 or 3 times a week. To be honest, I don't sew as much as I used to because we're doing videos and I'm designing patterns, but yeah. Deborah wants to know, what is a good foam interfacing? So this is just my personal preference, and it seems like the verdict is out. People have their own favorites when it comes to foam interfacing. So there's Headliner fabric, which is foam. I like by Annie Soft and Stable, which is only a sew-in interfacing. And Pellon and Bosel both make 3 different types of foam interfacing. So a sew-in foam, 1-sided fusible, and 2-sided fusible. So that's Pellon and Bosel. So Pellon's is called Flex Foam, and Bosel's is called Inner Form. Yep. Ozzy Bird wants to know, what was the name of the bag with the magnetic snaps? So this one is the Rockstar bag. This particular one was made for me by, wrong direction, Rock Baby Scissors, and I'm not sure what else I was going to say
Show
about
off some of
that.
the Hyacinth. Remember someone asked about
Oh
that one
yeah,
as well.
we saw somebody asked in the comments to see the Hyacinth bag, which was the one with the invisible magnetic snap. You want to move the question off the screen?
Oh,
Can
sure.
you? Is that okay?
I'll switch and then do it real quick.
Okay. Okay, I'll just hold it up higher. That's okay. So this is the Hyacinth bag. I designed it for sort of like a travel bag where you can access your cards and cash really quickly. The back of it's got an adjustable strap. The back of it has a zipper pocket, and the inside, I don't know. This is one of my favorite bags to carry.
I really
So
like it a lot.
oh, sorry, there's junk inside, but there's a lot of space to put stuff on the inside, and I just like it because it's flat, and I like it to
It's
be
a nice shape. It sits on you nicely.
I liked the bag to be flat against my body, so that's the Hyacinth bag. I think we're going to be working on a video for that one to come out in May, I think.
Yeah, someone else, I don't see it because I'm trying to find it, but they said you're going to make a pattern that includes English paper piecing for a bag.
Oh, so I'm not sure if you meant English paper piecing on the bag, if that's what you meant.
English paper piecing project.
Oh, okay. Well, next Tuesday, that's what I have in mind for the project for next Tuesday. And if you meant a bag to hold your English paper piecing, maybe the Amethyst project bag or the Creative Maker supply case, because it's got like mesh pockets and places to store your little snips and things like that. So maybe those two. All right. Any questions, or we?
Yeah, there's just comments are just going
okay.
through.
Maybe like 2 more questions and then.
Sure.
Okay. No.
Did it pop? I
Nope.
sent it just now.
Okay.
I think there's a delay with it.
Yeah, we're having
for now.
problems with our technology tonight. Oh,
Well, I can just read it out loud.
read the
It's soft
question
and
out.
stable, fusible. Thank you.
Okay.
That's from Gail.
Soft and Stable is not fusible. It just comes in the sew-in interfacing, so it comes as white, and they also have black. All right.
Okay.
Read one more. It's okay.
I love Boso. I also use Headliner. Lydia oils her Juki every 8 sews. Do you recommend getting a serger? This is from Becky.
I do have a serger. I use it. I haven't made a garment in a while, but it's really helpful for garment sewing because you can finish the edges of your seams, or if you're making a knit fabric, you can make just about the entire thing with the serger. I have to pull it out. I probably need to have it serviced, to be honest, because I got it when William was a baby, so I've had it for at least 10 years. The funny thing about my serger is Danny got it for me for Christmas. Is that what? Do you remember getting the serger for me or no?
I don't actually. To be
Okay.
honest.
He got it for me for Christmas, and I don't think I used it
I
for
think
like.
she just bought it and said got it for her.
That could be the that could be the case too. But I think I had it for 2 or 3 years before I took it out of the box because I was scared to thread it. But nothing to be scared of. I used a video on YouTube when I first learned how to thread it, and it's fine.
A few people were asking about the Hyacinth bag, about a video for it.
Okay, yeah, that'll be part of our next 4-pack video bundle. We're shooting for mid-May, something like that.
Yeah, it's funny, we were just talking about it for the show, and I think it's a great bag we haven't included yet in that 4-pack. It's Cork, easy to clean, Pat asked, and also someone asked, is Cork fabric durable? That's from Janice.
Okay, both good questions. So the Cork fabric, we do test regularly with the Cork to check the quality, and we have put it in the washer and the washing machine before. I don't recommend that. Cork is water resistant, so you can just get a damp rag and wipe it down if you need to. It is treated by the manufacturer before it comes to us with UV protectant, and also with Scotch Guard to protect the cork, and also the colors do not run. So I've had that question in the past, if the color of the cork will rub off on your clothes, and it won't. It's treated by the manufacturer, and it's color fast, and yeah, it's great to use. Dawn wanted to know, do you have a video for vinyl or cork cell case? No, but that's a really good idea. Maybe if I can work it into the project for Cork Club, I will. Cork Club projects are all projects made using a small piece of cork, so a 9-inch by 7-inch piece of cork. So I'll see what I can do. If I can fit it on a small piece of cork, I'll for sure get it in a video really soon. All right, is that good on the questions? Or
there's a few more questions.
Okay.
They're asking about headliners in place of sew foam, and they're working again. So yes, where's headliner found?
Headliner, to tell you the truth, I'm sure you could find it online. I've not seen it locally. So when you're looking for a headliner fabric, if possible, try to find one with a coating of fabric on the top and the bottom. So some foams are just straight up naked foam, and if you see naked foam in the store, don't buy it because it's terrible. So the naked foam, because it's just the foam, it kind of drags on the bed of your sewing machine, and it's really awful to sew with. You want to make sure you have something automotive headliner with a thin layer of tri-coat fabric on the top and the bottom. So the fabric is what makes it nice to go through the sewing machine, and all of the foam interfacings have some version of that on them so that they're easy to sew, except for the Pellon naked foam, and that's, like I said, not my favorite thing in the world. Hot Chili wants to know, I would love to buy the laptop bag tutorial on its own. Is that likely to happen? If you're talking about the Lilium laptop bag, I have a video scheduled in for end of summer, just in time for back to school. I'm sorry we don't have that available now, but it is on my list for this year for sure to get to, because I like that one a lot. Cheryl wants to know, what is the green bag behind Danny? Is it a laptop case? Oh, yeah.
It sure is, and there's a laptop in it. I can feel it.
There's 2 of them. It's the same pattern.
It's a heavy one.
So this is the Mini Kinz Grab and Go case. So the great thing about this pattern is that it works off the measurement of the device. So this is the same pattern. Obviously, they're 2 different sizes. This one I made to fit my mom's laptop, and actually she broke her laptop, so it's sort of a display laptop for now. And this one, I don't personally have a laptop, so don't laugh, but I made this to fit a cookbook. Not that I need
for safekeeping
a bag for my cookbook, but I needed like another one to show that I could make it in a different size than the laptop. So
I think it's my favorite cookbook, and she put it in there so I couldn't find it, so we wouldn't eat from it anymore.
No.
Yeah.
So this is from the Mini Kinz set of patterns, and it's called the Grab and Go. Terry wants to know, will you be doing a video for the dash bag? Yes, I'm not sure when. It is on my list, and I like that bag. I haven't made one in a while, so I would like to do a video for that one.
Yeah, that's the 3-zip bag, right?
Yeah,
3 zippers.
it is.
Sarah has a white and black version of one, and
yeah.
the colors really pop out. And I wish we could show it because it's.
Oh, Violet, you want to grab it? You know where it is,
I
right?
like that bag a lot. It's like a zebra.
It's in where the suitcases are. Can you duck down?
Is it?
No, it's like stacked up. Violet's gonna run and grab it because
It's a fun one.
It's in a place that's kind of handy, so.
Someone says Joanne's has sales on headliners.
Oh, okay.
Fabric. It's in Fort Worth as well.
All right. Where do I find the eyeglass case pattern? I received my Cork package from the Cork Club. It's beautiful, Cork. So I'm so glad you liked your Cork Club package. On that swatch card, there's a link at the bottom where you can find the Cork Club videos. Otherwise, it's on YouTube, and
3 zippers in the front.
it's got zebras on it and stuff.
Okay.
I lost my train of thought. Oh, it's on YouTube, Cork Club #1, the eyeglass case. So you should be able to find it on YouTube or my website. But if not, email me and I'm happy to send you the link. Donna said, would love a hack to add a shoulder strap to the grab and go. Yeah, I think that would be really cool. And you could easily add a shoulder strap, like a strap tab over here with an adjustable strap. Oh, Violet brought this bag that...
She wouldn't hand it to me for some reason.
You want to take the...
Comments off, sure.
Yvonne said, video for the Reason to bag. Yes, I do have that on my list. I'm not sure when. So this is the ... dash bag that someone asked about a second ago. So it's got the 3 zippers, these curved zippers over here, and it's got a recessed zipper on the top. So the zipper goes from one end to the other. And there's a smaller version as well without all the zipper. I think it has 1 or 2 zippers on the front, like a smaller one of this. Thank you, Violet.
And also, can't forget about...
Oh, yes. If you enjoy these videos, if you enjoyed the magnetic snap tutorial today, if you're watching on Facebook, I'd like to invite you to please hit the share button and share this video with your sewing friends. If you're watching on YouTube, if you could please hit the like button, and if you're not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, if you wouldn't mind subscribing so you'll be notified of future videos over on YouTube. So I think that's about all for the questions tonight.
Yep.
We'll see you again next Tuesday for a little project combining bag making and hand sewing in the form of English paper piecing. So that'll be Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time. So we'll see you again next Tuesday for Ask Sara. Happy sewing.
Thanks, everyone. You have a great week, and we'll see you later.